The Old Woman and the Wine. Once upon a time in a small village, there lived an old woman named Granny Mabel. She was known for her kind heart and warm smile, but she also had a penchant for wine. Every evening, after finishing her chores, she would sip a glass of her favorite vintage, enjoying the rich flavors and the gentle buzz it brought her. One day, as Granny Mabel was tending to her garden, a traveling merchant passed through the village. He stopped by her house to sell his wares and shared tales of distant lands, delicious foods, and exquisite wines. Granny Mabel listened intently, captivated by his stories. The merchant noticed her enthusiasm and offered her a rare bottle of wine, promising it would be the best she had ever tasted. Curiosity piqued, Granny Mabel bought the bottle and hurried inside. She had never tasted anything like it before. The wine was rich and full-bodied, and she felt a rush of warmth with each sip. Overcome by the delightful flavor and the cheerful atmosphere it created, she lost track of time and poured herself glass after glass, enjoying the festive feeling the wine brought. As the evening progressed, Granny Mabel drank more than she ever had before. Her laughter turned into loud cackles, and her thoughts became jumbled. She began to dance around her living room, tripping over her own feet and spilling wine on her cherished rug. In her inebriated state, she decided to venture outside to share her joy with the neighbors. As she stumbled out into the cool night air, she saw her friends gathered nearby. They were surprised to see her in such a state, laughing and pointing as she approached. But in her drunken haze, Granny Mabel only thought of how much fun they would have together. "Come, join me," she called, waving her arms. "Let's have a party." But her friends, seeing how out of control she had become, stepped back. They didn't want to indulge in the wild antics of a drunken woman. Embarrassed and rejected, Granny Mabel suddenly felt a wave of shame wash over her. She realized that her inability to control her drinking had pushed her friends away. Instead of enjoying a pleasant evening, she had made a fool of herself. Realizing her mistake, Granny Mabel returned home, feeling both regretful and sober. The next day, she woke up with a terrible headache and a heavy heart. Reflecting on her behavior, she understood the importance of moderation. She learned that while wine could be enjoyable, too much of it could lead to foolishness and embarrassment. From that day on, Granny Mabel made a promise to herself. She would enjoy her wine but only in moderation. Whenever she felt the urge to pour another glass, she would remind herself of that night. Gradually, she regained the respect of her friends and continued to enjoy her evenings, this time in a way that made her feel proud and dignified. Moral of the story: moderation is essential. This story teaches us that while indulgence can bring temporary pleasure, moderation is key to maintaining respect, dignity, and good relationships with others. It reminds us to enjoy life's pleasures in a balanced way so that we can savor them without negative consequences.